You don't expect horror to start loudly. It usually begins with something small, easy to ignore, easy to explain away. That's how it started with my cousin. Back then we were kids, middle school age, old enough to know when something felt wrong, but young enough to be told we were imagining it. My grandmother's house was old, the kind of place where walls held heat too long in summer and cold too deeply in winter. It sat in a quiet neighborhood, the kind where families lived close together and doors were usually left unlocked during the day. The house had 2 levels. My grandmother lived upstairs. Downstairs, my uncles and their families occupied separate portions of the house. It was always full of people, noise, movement, life. That's why no one believed anything bad could hide there. My cousin lived downstairs. She was my age, smart, quiet. The kind of kid who didn't nap in the afternoon like the rest of us. While the other kids slept after school, she stayed awake. Sometimes she'd go outside to buy snacks from a small shop a few streets away. At first, nothing seemed strange about that. Then she started getting sick. It wasn't gradual. It came suddenly. One moment she'd be fine, laughing with us. The next, she'd hold her stomach, her face pale, saying she didn't feel well. We thought she was faking it. Kids do that. Or so we thought. Then she started vomiting blood. I remember the first time I saw it. We froze. No one knew what to do. Adults rushed in, shouting her name, panic filling the room. But after a while, she would calm down. The bleeding would stop, and she'd look normal again. Doctors couldn't find anything. The episodes kept happening. Then the screaming started. She would suddenly sit upright, eyes wide, screaming that someone was hurting her, that someone was twisting her arms, her legs, that someone was standing right there. But no one was there. Her limbs would stiffen, locking into painful angles. Her feet would curl like they were being pulled by invisible hands. She'd beg us to make it stop. We tried to hold her down, not to hurt her, but to keep her from hurting herself. Her body felt unnaturally tense, hard, like wood. And the strangest part? She wasn't acting. You can tell when a child is pretending. This wasn't that. She cried in pain, real pain. She screamed things that didn't make sense. "She's here," my cousin would sob. "She's right there. Why can't you see her?" Adults whispered words of prayer. Someone always tried to calm her down. Eventually, after hours, sometimes she would go still, exhausted. Then she'd fall asleep and wake up like nothing happened. No memory of it. That's when fear began to spread. Not panic, fear. Quiet fear. The kind people don't say out loud. The episodes became more frequent. Almost daily. Sometimes multiple times a day. Always worse at night. One evening she started screaming again. This time she said the woman was angry. "She says I shouldn't tell anyone," she cried. "She says she'll hurt me if I do." That night, my aunt finally asked her directly, "What does she look like?" My cousin hesitated. Her eyes darted toward the corner of the room. "She's a woman," she whispered. "Her face is burned. Black. Like fire touched her." Everyone felt the room go quiet. "She stands close to me," my cousin continued. "She grabs my arms. She twists my legs. She laughs." No one laughed back. From that point on, no one was sure what to believe, but no one felt safe anymore. One night, my cousin was lying in my grandmother's room during another episode. She screamed until her voice broke. After prayers were said, she finally calmed down. We thought it was over. My grandmother fell asleep beside her. My mother stepped into the next room for just a minute. That's when it happened. A loud slap echoed through the house. Not imagined. Not subtle. A sharp, unmistakable sound. My mother ran back into the room. My cousin was crying, holding her face. "She hit me," she said. Red marks were visible on her cheek. Clear. Defined. Like fingers. My grandmother hadn't moved. She was asleep. No one else had entered the room. That was the moment disbelief ended. Whatever was happening was no longer invisible. And it was getting closer. After the slap, no one laughed anymore. No one said, "She's just a kid." No one said, "It's stress," or attention seeking. There were marks on her face. Real ones. And worse, there were witnesses. From that night on, someone was always awake. Lights stayed on longer. Doors were locked earlier. The house, once noisy and familiar, felt tense. Like everyone was holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. It didn't take long. The next episode came 2 nights later. It started quietly. That was the terrifying part. My cousin was sitting on the floor, playing with a notebook, when she suddenly stopped writing. Her hand froze mid-page. She tilted her head slightly, like she was listening to someone whispering directly into her ear. Then she smiled. A slow, wrong smile. "She's back," she said softly. Her mother rushed to her side. "Who's back?" "The woman," my cousin replied. "She missed me." Her body stiffened again. But this time it was different. She didn't scream right away. She spoke. "She says I talk too much," my cousin whispered. "She says tonight she'll teach me how to stay quiet." Then she screamed. Her legs bent at unnatural angles. Her feet twisted inward, shaking like something was pulling them. She clawed at the floor, crying for help, begging someone, anyone, to make it stop. "She's hurting me," she screamed. "She's right here." She pointed to the corner of the room. Everyone looked. There was nothing there. But the air felt wrong. Heavy. Thick. Like the room had lost oxygen. "She's smiling," my cousin sobbed. "She likes it when you watch." That sentence stuck with me, because it didn't sound like something a child would invent. After hours of prayer and panic, she collapsed. Unconscious. Breathing shallow but steady. When she woke up the next morning, she remembered nothing. Not the screaming. Not the pain. Not the woman. But things began to change. She stopped playing with us. She started standing in front of mirrors for long periods of time. Just staring. Not fixing her hair. Not making faces. Watching. Sometimes she'd smile at her reflection. Sometimes she'd whisper things we couldn't hear. When asked who she was talking to, she'd say, "No one." But her eyes would flick to the side, like someone was standing just out of view. Then came the night walks. My aunt noticed it first. She woke up in the middle of the night and realized my cousin wasn't in bed. The front door was still locked. Windows closed. No signs of forced entry. They found her standing in the hallway. Eyes open. Completely still. "She took me outside," my cousin said when asked later. "We went places." My aunt's voice shook. "How did you get outside?" "The door was locked." "She showed me," my cousin replied. "She taught me." No one slept after that. The next time an episode happened, my cousin said something that made the adults stop everything. "She gave me something," she said. "What?" my aunt asked carefully. "A necklace." That got everyone's attention. "She said I have to wear it," my cousin continued. "She said if I don't, she'll hurt me again." They searched her room. At first, nothing turned up. Then my cousin walked to the closet, opened it, reached into the back corner, somewhere no one ever used, and pulled out a necklace. It was old, gold-colored, heavy for a child's jewelry. At the center was a symbol. Not a cross. Not anything familiar to us. An OM symbol. The room went silent. No one in the house owned anything like that. No one practiced anything related to it. No one could explain how it got there. My cousin held it carefully. "She told me to hide it," she said. "She said you wouldn't like it." That was the moment belief turned into fear. Not, "something strange is happening," but, "something has been here for a long time." That night, her clothes were found torn. Not ripped by her hands, cut. Clean slashes along the fabric. Another episode followed. This one was worse. She screamed that the woman was angry, that she was punishing her for telling secrets. "She says she'll take me with her," my cousin cried. "She says I belong to her now." At that point, the family stopped trying to explain things. They started looking for help. Spiritual help. The first few people they contacted refused to come. Some said the house felt wrong. Others said it wasn't their place to interfere. One man finally agreed to visit. Before he arrived, my cousin began shaking violently. "She's scared," my cousin said suddenly. "She says someone's coming." "Who?" my aunt asked. "She won't say his name," my cousin replied. "But she's telling me to make him leave." or she'll hurt everyone. That night, no one felt alone in that house. Even when rooms were empty. Even when lights were on. Because the woman wasn't hiding anymore. She was watching. And she was waiting. The man arrived just after sunset. He didn't ask many questions. Didn't sit down. Didn't even take his shoes off. The moment he stepped inside the house, he stopped, closed his eyes, and took a step backward. "There's more than one," he said quietly. No one spoke. He opened his eyes and looked directly at my cousin, who was sitting on the couch, swinging her feet like nothing was wrong. She smiled at him. Not a child's smile. "Don't touch her," he warned. "Not unless I tell you." The air felt heavy again. The same pressure we'd felt during her episodes, but now it was constant. Like the house itself was listening. He asked everyone to leave the room except my aunt. As they walked away, my cousin leaned forward and whispered, "She doesn't like you." The man didn't respond. He began murmuring words under his breath, slow, rhythmic, deliberate. Not loud, not dramatic. The lights flickered. Then my cousin screamed. Her body jerked backward so violently the couch slid several inches across the floor. Her hands clenched into fists, knuckles whitening. "She's burning," my cousin shrieked. "She says you're hurting her." The man didn't stop. "She's lying," he said calmly. "She's afraid." My cousin's voice changed. Lower. Slower. "She's not afraid," it said. "This house belongs to us." The word "us" echoed unnaturally. My aunt froze. The man stepped closer. "Leave the child," he said. The temperature dropped instantly. My cousin's head snapped toward him at an impossible angle. "She was given to me," the voice said. "She walks with me. She wears my mark." The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a small blade. He whispered something and made a quick, sharp motion in the air. My cousin screamed, and then went silent. Her body collapsed. For a moment, no one breathed. Then she opened her eyes. They were normal again. She started crying. "I don't like her," she sobbed. "She makes me see things." The man turned pale. "That wasn't the one doing this," he said slowly. Everyone stared at him. "What do you mean?" my aunt asked. "There are two," he replied. "One feeds. The other protects." He explained in fragments. The burned-faced woman, violent, jealous, had attached herself to my cousin. But something else had followed her home as well. Something quieter. Older. Something that pretended to be helpful. "It's the second one that worries me," he said. "Because it hasn't shown itself yet." That night, my cousin slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. Too peacefully. The next morning, she spoke differently. Her voice was slower. Controlled. Measured. She stopped recognizing the boys in the family. Would only speak to women. Would only sit near mirrors or windows. She began predicting things. Small things at first. A cup falling. A phone ringing. Someone arriving at the door. Then bigger things. She told my aunt to call a relative immediately. "Tell him to check his roof," she said. Something was hidden there. They laughed. They shouldn't have. When they checked, they found objects buried in the concrete. Wrapped in cloth. Tied with black thread. The man returned. This time he brought others. Before they even knocked, my cousin screamed from inside the house. "She's here," she cried. "She's angry." The men entered without hesitation. They went straight to one room. The bathroom. The air inside was thick. The mirror was fogged even though no one had showered. The man raised the blade again and spoke loudly this time. The mirror cracked. A sound came from inside the walls. Like something running. Then a scream, high, furious, inhuman. It ended suddenly. The pressure lifted. My cousin collapsed again. When she woke up, she was different. Quieter. Calmer. Normal. But the man didn't relax. "One left," he said. "The other is still nearby." He looked at my cousin carefully. "She remembers too much," he said. "That's dangerous." They asked what that meant. He didn't answer. Because something else was happening. Something worse. My cousin began telling them things she could not possibly know. Secrets. Private conversations. Hidden objects. Things buried years ago. She's not possessed anymore, the man finally said. She's open. And whatever was still watching. I knew that. After that night, the house felt wrong in a new way. Not loud. Not violent. Where? My cousin stopped having seizures. No screaming. No convulsions. No visible attacks. The family thought the worst was over. That was the mistake. She became precise. She woke up every morning at the same time. Sat in the same spot. Stared at the same corner of the room. If anyone asked what she was doing, she'd answer calmly. Listening. At first, the things she said sounded harmless. She's standing behind you. There's something under the sink. Don't sit there. And she was always right. A scorpion was found under the sink. A ceiling fan nearly fell where she told someone not to sit. A shelf collapsed minutes after she warned them. The fear shifted. Not of her being harmed, but of what she had become. One evening, my aunt asked her softly, "Do you remember what happened to you?" My cousin shook her head. But then she added, "She remembers me." Everyone froze. "Who?" my aunt asked. My cousin smiled faintly. "The one that stayed." The man returned again, visibly shaken. "I told you to leave this house," he said sharply. "Why are you still here?" They told him they couldn't. It was their family home. Their only place. He walked through the house slowly, stopping at certain spots. The kitchen doorway. The bathroom mirror. The corner of the courtyard. "They're anchored here," he said. "And now so is she." That night something changed. My cousin woke up screaming, not in fear but in pain. She clutched her chest and cried, "She doesn't want me to go." The lights went out. Every door slammed shut at once. The air turned icy. The man shouted for everyone to stay back. My cousin stood up on the bed. Her feet never touched the floor. Her voice echoed unnaturally. "You said she was mine," it said. "You said she could see." The man raised his hands. "She's a child. You can't keep her." The walls began to shake. "You took her sister," the voice hissed. "This one stays." My aunt screamed. "What sister?" Silence. Then my cousin whispered very softly, "She wasn't supposed to be alone." The man went pale. "No," he said. "That's not possible." "She died," the voice replied. "But she didn't leave." The pressure became unbearable. The sound of something dragging echoed from the courtyard. The man shouted prayers so loudly his voice cracked. Suddenly, my cousin collapsed. Everything stopped. Lights returned. Doors opened. The house fell quiet. My cousin slept for 2 days straight. When she woke up, she was herself again. She didn't recognize the man. Didn't remember the incidents. Didn't remember the voices. But she remembered one thing. She asked my aunt, "Why did you never tell me about her?" My aunt felt sick. "Tell you about who?" she asked. "The other girl," my cousin said. "The one who slept next to me." There had never been another child. At least, that's what they believed. Old photos were checked. Albums opened. And then they found it. A picture faded and creased. 2 little girls. Identical. Standing in the same courtyard. One of them had been scratched out. No one remembered doing that. The man refused to return after that. "They don't want her anymore," he said over the phone. "They want the house." The family moved out within weeks. They locked the doors. Left everything behind. But my cousin? She still pauses sometimes. Mid-conversation. Mid-sentence. And listens. Because some places don't release what they touch. And some children never fully come back. They never went back to that house. Not even to collect what they left behind. Furniture, jewelry, childhood photos. Everything stayed. The doors were locked, keys handed to a distant relative, and within a year the house stood empty. No one moved in. People tried. But no one stayed longer than a week. Neighbors whispered about lights turning on at night. About the sound of something dragging across the courtyard floor. About a child crying just before dawn. Eventually, the house was declared unsafe. Structurally unstable, they said. That was easier than admitting the truth. My cousin grew up. Outwardly, she lived a normal life. Finished school. Got married. Moved to another city. Had children of her own. But some things never left her. She couldn't sleep in silence. She hated mirrors placed across from beds. And she never let her children sleep alone. When asked why, she'd smile and say, "Just a habit." But late at night, when she thought no one was listening, she sometimes whispered into empty rooms, "I'm still here." Years later, during a family gathering, someone brought up the old house as a joke. "Remember that place?" They laughed. Scariest childhood memories. My cousin went quiet. Her face drained of color. "I don't remember it as scary," she said. Everyone looked at her. "I remember it as crowded." They asked her what she meant. She hesitated, then said, "I was never alone there. Even before everything happened." She described things she had never been told. A second breathing beside her at night. Footsteps that matched hers perfectly. A hand that held hers in the dark. "She was angry," my cousin said. "But not at me." "Who?" someone asked. "The one who stayed." That night, my aunt pulled out the old photo again. The one with two identical girls. They noticed something new. The scratched-out face wasn't damaged by time. It had been scratched deliberately, from the inside, as if someone trapped behind the image had tried to claw their way out. A few months later, my cousin's youngest child started talking to someone no one else could see. "She stands in the corner," the child said. "She looks like Mommy." My cousin froze. "What does she want?" she asked carefully. The child shrugged. "She says this house is quieter, but she misses the other one." My cousin didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she packed up the family and moved again. No explanations, no goodbyes, just gone. I saw her once after that. She looked tired, older than she should have. Before we parted, I asked her one last question. "Do you remember her now?" She nodded slowly. "She was my sister," she said. "They tried to erase her." "Why you?" I asked. Her answer still haunts me. "Because I remembered her back." Some bonds don't break with death. Some houses don't need walls to exist. And some siblings never stop waiting.